Hi, I'm Jimmy, and you're watching Tuesdays with Jimmy. Welcome. It's Tuesday, so you're in the right place. This is episode one of Tuesdays with Jimmy. This is an idea that I cooked up just last night, in fact. But I was able to get an amazing guest. And those of you who were watching on social media for my post last night realized that you had an opportunity to ask some questions to this fabulous guest that I can't believe I was able to book on such short notice. Now, I was originally just going to ask one or two of your questions, but as I compared what you provided with the list of questions that I had, well, honestly, you ought to be running this show, not me. I'm just going to use all your questions. So, simple interview show. I'm just going to ask questions. My guest is going to respond. My guest is an esteemed colleague, friend, uh, peer, soulmate almost of mine, really. I want to introduce him to you today. He is near and dear to me, as near and dear as you can get, really. His name is Jim Young. He's the centered coach. Hey, Jimmy. Jimmy, glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me on Tuesdays with Jimmy. I am honored. Great to have you here, Jim. And why don't we just get right to it? I had a bunch of questions. We're going to try and get through them fast because there's a whole page. Really, a lot of questions here. First one comes from Ellen Feldman Ornato. Hello, Ellen, EFO. What female quality do you most admire and wish you had more of? Well, as you know, Jimmy, I am a guy who is not afraid of his feminine side. Doesn't make me any less of a man, that's for sure. So I've embraced a lot of what the wonderful things are that women bring to the world, but I think probably my favorite thing about women, and this is a generalization because it's not true of every woman, just like it's not true of every man that we're the opposite. I love that they're a little bit more receptive and open about their emotions. They feel things. They kind of use all the sensors that they got instead of just the up here, let me figure it all out kind of thing that the guys tend to do, the brutish sort of way that we do things. A lot more open to feelings. I think it makes them more honest. Yeah, that's insightful. Next question comes from up north of the border, Jim Mondry. Thank you for sending this one in. How does one wisely balance decision making around? Hold on, I'm going to tuck my questions in here so I can go hands free. I need it for this question. How does one wisely balance decision making around maximizing, which can lead to amazing stretch goals, but also leads to never being satisfied, versus satisfiers, which are good enough, but involve settling? Oh, yeah. Jimmy, I am big on understanding goals and habits. And I actually am a big fan of James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. And he talks about goals as things that we want to get to, but oftentimes they're disappointing. When we set that maximizer goal, like, hey, I'm going to run a marathon. Woo! 'Cause I'm a guy who runs a lot. That actually isn't always successful because we feel like maybe we pushed too far. We had to really grind to get there and we lost ourselves in the process. And maybe we didn't even finish the marathon. We got 24 miles in, we had to drop out and we feel like a failure. So actually, what I like that he says is that it's not about the goal. The goal is the residue. The habit might be to run every day, but the identity is I'm a runner or I'm an athlete. And so if I start there and I'm an athlete, well, that means that I do athletic things. That means I stay fit. That means I do workouts regularly. That might mean that I run a lot. That might mean that one day I complete a marathon. But I've achieved something different by owning the identity that I want to have without having to worry about the outcome, even if I'm going hard and I'm maximizing what my outcome could be by being true to myself and doing it all the time through my identity and my habits. Yeah? Yeah, Jim. Love that. That's some good stuff. And from a guy named James. Can't argue with that, right? Am I saying all right? Yeah, I'm saying I'm right. Yeah, I know I'm right. All right, Jim. Who were your parents, and how did they influence your life? Well, Jim, as you know, my mom was a guitarist in an all-girls rock band in the 60s. My dad was a car mechanic back at that time. So, a couple things there. I am a mid-level mediocre bassist. Played in a garage band, actually a barn band for a bunch of years. Got some people to come watch us because we threw parties. So I've been on stage doing that. So that's musical, and that's from my mom. And uh, and I've changed my oil a few times. Brilliant, brilliant, Jim. Um, Bunch of questions here from our friend Erica Marks out in Ithaca, New York. Hello, Erica. Thank you for all the suggestions here. What birth order were you, and how'd that affect the person that you've become? Well, Jimmy, you know that I'm the baby, two of two. And that means that I think I'm special. Let my sister go make all the mistakes, and then I kind of drafted off of that. Was the golden child, made everything look easy, and just kind of skated right through. That's pretty much my story. Yep, it is. Jim, what were you like in high school? And how is that related to how you are now? Well, you see, in high school, I was somebody who could hang out with everybody. I would hang out with the jocks, the burnouts, the stoners, the maybe those are the same. The math geeks, the skaters, you name it. I could hang with just about anybody. And I came to find out much later in life, I'm what Malcolm Gladwell would call a connector. I love being able to relate to a lot of different types of people and connect them and maybe help introduce people and make the world a little bit more connected place. It's what I love. Indeed. Next question from Erica. What's something geeky about you? Nothing. Okay, moving right along. What advice would you give your younger self and why? Make sure you look for the bottle caps in the basement after you have that party with your friends when your mom's out of town. Sage advice. Look for the bottle caps. Okay, next question to you, Jim, coming from Lou Eckes. He has a very metaphysical type of question for you. Round or oval? Think you know the answer to that one. I mean, round is kind of like perfection, the perfect circle, right? The maximizer, maybe even the best. Round is circular and perfect. So the answer is obviously oval. Wise. Wise. Okay, Katrina Hawley from the Pilates studio in Hadley, who is fabulous. If you got anything going on with your body, go check out the Pilates studio. Um, is it okay to move through something without dissecting every move? Interestingly, Katrina knows a lot about movement. You know, I think that it's absolutely all right to move through without dissecting every move. I want to be in flow. How do you ride the wave? How do you move through life with less friction? And I think if you're grabbing and you're dissecting and you're trying to pick out every move, you can lose the sight of the path ahead of you and you can get too bogged down in what's going on in each movement. I want to see the whole pattern of flow. Don't stop and try and see which one is working and not, because this isn't as fun a dance as this one is. Yes, flow. Can't argue with that one. All right, Jim from Louisa Wimberger. She wants to know favorite junk food. Tough one here. Tough one. Ice cream pops to mind, but there's dairy in ice cream. There's protein in there. There's some good things for you. There might even be fruit in there, like strawberries or something. So I don't think it's a junk food. Who doesn't like a saddle-shaped chip? I'm going Pringles. Chips in a can. That's it, Jim. All right. From my favorite dentist, Dr. Sue Keller, the question is, what do you see as my next step? Well, so the next step metaphorically is about where the center of your balance has tipped in a new direction, and now your foot has to land somewhere and you're going to move. And again, if you're going to be in flow, and I think about, if you're a dentist and you also like being in a boat and out in nature, then maybe your next step as you start to tip forward is that you are pulling teeth outside on a boat. Revolutionary! I wonder what the copay would be. Okay, from Cynthia Zeitz, PhD. This is a very challenging question, as you might expect. Ready? Ready. Pizza. Knife and fork? Or by hand? And why? Well, fortunately, I did my fake dissertation on pizza, Cynthia, so I got this one. It's by hand. If you've got a pizza where you've got to use a knife and a fork, or as I like to jokingly say to my kids, a fork and knife, you've got a problem with the crust. You don't have enough undergirding. You don't have the crispiness, you don't have the solidity, you don't have solidarity between crust, sauce, cheese, topping. You should be able to, even with the deepest dish at that finest point right in the center, pick it up and maybe pinch while you hold without it coming all apart. So it's by hand. More wisdom from him to you through me. All right, serious question here, Jimmy. Jim. How do we prevent civil war? That is serious indeed in these times when things are feeling very dire in our country and there's so much disparity between different viewpoints. And one of the problems that we have is that we are not loving on each other nearly enough. And the three-word answer that is the solution to everything is to just love more. Love your neighbors like they were you. Like literally like you. Like how would you? Well, maybe not like you because you might actually be really hard on yourself. Love them like they were a puppy. Maybe not a puppy because sometimes they poop on the carpet. But love them like a little kid on the playground who is swinging and squealing with delight. Well, maybe not that because you might not like the way kids scream. Love them like marshmallow chicks because, no, dentists hate that. You know what? Go with love. Find your way to what that is because the hate that's going on right now is not okay. And that's from everybody. We all got to look at ourselves. Where are we bringing hate into the equation? Flip that. Where can you find love? How can you find it? Do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. Next question, similar vein. What change would you make that could have the biggest impact on humanity, Jim? Whew. The biggest impact on humanity that I could have through one single change, Jim? It would be just love more. I'm going ditto. All right. All right. Getting existential on you now. Who, Jim, are you? Who am I? I am a son. I am a brother. I am a cousin. I am a father. I am a father all the time. I am a mid-level mediocre bass guitarist who also can't say those words very well, even though I said them before. I am a coach. I am a former executive. I am a varsity baseball letter winner. I am an aspiring banjoist. I am a pancake expert from the cooking perspective. I am an improviser who gets up on stage in front of people so that we can all laugh together. I am kind of sweaty. Seems true. Jim, what gives meaning to your life? Equal exchange, Panama, 80% dark chocolate. Can't argue with that. Jim, what do you do at the end of a really tough day? At the end of a really tough day? A really, really, really tough day? So what I'm gonna do is it depends. It depends on who I'm with. If I'm with myself, I'm going to go out for a long walk around my neighborhood of Florence, Massachusetts, and I hope that I'll see the expandable brass band practicing in a little pocket park near my house, because that is a little slice of heaven. To hear them play some New Orleans jazz on a Friday night while I'm out for a walk on a nice summer evening. And then I'm going to come back to my house and I might have some food and I'll turn the lights down low and then I'll put on some music. It might be some Tom Petty because I love Tom Petty. It might be a lot of other things, but I'm just going to melt into the floor and just listen to some music and breathe. If I'm with my kids, I'm probably going to do some similar things, but it's going to stop with the walk and then I'm going to come back and I'm probably going to look for a movie to put on with my kids and we're going to joke around a little bit before that. We're going to laugh a lot and then we're going to have some ice cream because that has protein in it and maybe even some fruit like strawberries. Simple, elegant, and seemingly effective. Okay, Jimmy. Jimmy here with your last question, Jim, for you. It's from Donna McLean, D Mac, up in New Hampshire, closing us out. What is your best suggestion for folks to reset themselves in that moment? Well, Donna D Mac, my family show friend, this is a great question, and it is one that is on my mind quite a bit. So, how to reset in the moment? We get bombarded with things that come up, bring up all of our old stuff. We're wired to have these different reactions. And so, in the moment, when something hits me, I got to check in, kind of like I said, generally speaking, women have better access to, but guys can do it too, and we can all train ourselves in it. I can see, how do I actually feel? Not what do I think, but how do I feel? How's this happen? Did I just clench up? Did I just get all excited? What happened physically to me? What does that make me think? Where's my brain going? Now I get to pause and say, oh, that's what's going on. And then if I can do that, especially if I'm in a place like fear or stress or anger, or frustration, sarcasm, anger's lonely cousin. No, that's not the right expression. Anyways, if I'm in one of those emotions, I can then pause and get myself super present. I do something to get into my body. Maybe I just rub a couple fingertips together. I can feel the ridges on each fingertip. I pay so much attention. It gets me out of my lizard brain and up into my thinking brain, and then I get to say, oh, I have choices. And one of my favorite things to be is at choice about how I respond. So I gotta see what's going on. I gotta intercept that momentum that's gonna send me down my old path, and then I get to make a choice. about how to move forward. Jim, thank you so much for sharing all the wisdom today with our audience. This has been the first episode of Tuesdays with Jimmy. I know it's hard to believe that this has only been one episode. It's gone on for a while, hasn't it? It sure has, and I could go on all day if you'd let me. Unfortunately, our sponsors won't really allow that, Jim, but we would love to have you back again sometime. Great, I'll be here next week, Jimmy. That would be amazing. Well, let me see if there are other people who'd love to be on the show first, Jim. It's not just all about you. Well, actually, it really kind of is now, isn't it? Well, he does have a point. Thank you for watching Tuesdays with Jimmy. I hope you picked up a little bit of wisdom, and I wish you a fantastic day.